Welcome to the Idaho Fishing Report. Whether you are planning just a couple of hours or a full weekend of fishing, this is your one-stop place for all the information you need to plan your trip. It's all right here, from weather forecasts and reservoir levels to the latest stocking reports and expert advice. And now, the host of Idaho Fishing Report, Jeff Cullers.
Well, hello, angler. I am Jeff Cullers and happy to be along with you here on this report for June 23, 2023. All right, big show for you this week. Of course, we've got your weather information. Going to be a little windy and just give you kind of a little preview. But the weather's going to be nice otherwise. Boat ramp, reservoir level information. A lot of stocking and tournaments happening this weekend, moon phase report. So sit back and relax. This is the Idaho Fishing Report. All right, as we get into this show, just want to take just a minute here and remind you that the weather is brought to you by the Idaho Horsemen, Idaho's only professional indoor football league. The Idaho Horsemen have secured their spot in the championship game on July 1st, 2023 at the Ford Idaho Center in Nampa, Idaho. You can find out more about tickets at gohorseman.com, or you can go to the Good Boy Studios if you want to watch it online. That's goodboistudios.com and see about watching it online. It's going to be a great show, and I think you guys, you don't want to miss it. If you're in the Boise, Treasure Valley area, live in Nampa, Caldwell, Meridian, Eagle, get your tickets now at the Ford Idaho Center, ictickets.com, and at thegohorseman.com. Check all of that out. Secure your seats. Let's pack the arena, and let's bring home the championship. The Idaho Horsemen won it in 2019. Love to have them back. But again, if you can't make it there, you can watch us online through the goodboystudios.com website, and you can see more there. All right, now it is time for our weather and information, and let's get right into that. All right. Let's start over in the Magic Valley. Sunset there will be around 9:19 p.m. Going to be low to mid 80s through Monday. Mostly sunny. There's a 24% chance of rain on Sunday. Saturday looks pretty good. 8-mile-an-hour wind on Saturday, so it looks pretty good. After that, it's going to be double digits. So we're just going to be windy, and I wasn't lying. Double digits, 11 to 13 miles an hour all through all of next week. Temperatures dip a little bit on Tuesday into the 70s, but come right back into the 80s. All right, over in the Treasure Valley, starting in the Mountain Home, Bruno area, sunset around 9:26 p.m. Saturday, going to be upper 80s, 3% chance of rain, 7-mile-an-hour winds. Same story. We're going to see the temperature stay about the same, but we're going to see a 15% chance of rain on Saturday. Winds in that double digit, 13 to 14 mile an hour. So getting really kind of close on that CJ Strike side, Anderson Ranch side. I know I have a buddy of mine who has a pontoon boat, and we were talking about what's your limit, right? What's your limit on that wind? And everybody's got their own. Monday doesn't look too bad, 6% chance of rain, but 14-mile-an-hour winds. Thursday, going to see it get close to 90 out that way. Sunny, 4% chance of rain, but still a little bit windy over in the Mountain Home, Bruno area. All right, Boise, 9:30 p.m. sunset. Yes, the long day of summer has come and gone. We're going to start going down a little bit, but I mean, the sunset's at 9:30. It's really incredible, and what a joy to be here and to be able to get in, 4.5 hours of fishing after work if you can cut out at 5. All right, sorry, I digress. Boise, Saturday, we're looking around 86, so mid-80s, 0% chance of rain, 8-mile-an-hour wind. It's the same exact story. We're going to see partly cloudy over the weekend, a 15% chance of rain, 12 to 13-mile-an-hour winds. 88 on Thursday is going to be high for the week, still 11-mile-an-hour wind, and a 6% chance of rain. All right. Let's take a trip up to Cascade. Sunset there will be around 9:33 p.m. And we will see a 11% chance of rain through Saturday and Sunday, 7 mile an hour, so not too bad. Never really that windy up in that part of the area anyway. Monday's not looking great, a 33% chance of rain with isolated thunderstorms. Tuesday afternoon thunderstorms, 44% chance. So it's really kind of gnarly up there, but the weekend doesn't look too bad. Only a 15% chance of rain on Sunday. So if you don't mind dodging a few raindrops, that's not a bad little area to be in. All right, let's look over in the western Idaho, eastern Oregon area. Sunset will be around 9:38 Mountain Time. Remember, you get over there, your phones could switch over to Pacific time, so just keep an eye on that. Mid to lower 80s through the weekend, 15% chance of rain all the way through Tuesday. Tuesday it goes up to 23% chance of rain. Mild winds, so not too bad, 6 to 8 mile an hour, but it's going to be partly cloudy. You're going to be dodging raindrops out there. And that is our report for the weather and wind for the southern Idaho area. All right, joining us tonight, as he does each and every week, is Jordan Rodriguez, owner and creator of Tightlines 208, your place to go in the Treasure Valley if you want to know all things fishing. Jordan, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing great, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. We are happy to have you here. It's a great post-Father's Day week. It's going to be a little cooler this weekend, and it's going to be a little wetter, but should be a pretty good weekend to get out. Well, speaking of getting out and getting fishing, what is that Tightlines 208 hot tip of the week?
Yeah, so this one is something I get asked a lot in classes and things. People, there's kind of a lot of information out there, and they're wondering, what is the right way, or what does your experience tell you is the most effective? So what to do if your fish swallows the hook. So there's a few different factors to keep in mind on this. One is, I guess the first question you need to ask yourself is, are you planning to harvest this fish? Is it a legal fish to harvest in terms of species and size and all that? And is it something that you're planning to take some fish home with you? If that is the case, then it doesn't really matter. You can kind of get your pliers, rip the hook out to avoid having to, redo your tackle setup and all that. And that fish is likely going to die. But if you're planning to harvest it, it was going to die anyway. Yep. So that's the easy one. Where it gets tougher is if you're for sure planning to release this fish, or maybe if you're on the fence. So my big thing is, if that hook is down past the mouth parts, so we're talking, into the deep, the deeper parts of the mouth, I guess the throat, you might say, on a fish, or certainly if it's all the way down into, what we call the gullet, or it's actually the beginning of the stomach or the digestive system of the fish.
Sure.
If you pull that hook out and puncture that lining, that fish will die with like a 90% certainty. So if you want to release that fish, the best thing to do is to cut your line, and to also be very careful when you're handling that fish, not to like grab the line and let the fish hang by the hook. That's doing more damage and, tearing and punctures and all that. So to be very careful with your handling of the fish, and to just cut that line and get that fish back in the water as soon as possible. Studies have shown that the fish survive very well with that. They're able to pass the hook, or the hook rusts out, keeping in mind that a fish is underwater 24/7. So that rusting process goes more quickly than, say, a hook might rust in your tackle box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it really is. And people say, well, I just feel like if I leave that hook in there, the fish is going to die. And there is a chance of that, of course, but there's also a really good chance, a much greater chance, actually, that the fish will live. There's some other things where the hook is not obviously deep, but the fish is bleeding a lot for some reason. And this can be a variety of things. If the hook gets into the gill area, as sometimes will happen with like treble hooks and things. That's definitely an area of concern. But if there's no, obvious where the gills have been damaged or yanked on or something, a lot of times just getting that fish back in the water as quickly as possible will stop the bleeding. It's like a natural, having it in the water is a natural way to get the fish to stop bleeding. I'll tell you, there's some species that are just like natural bleeders. Kokanee are one, like
Yeah.
you have them hooked anywhere in the face and they're just bleeding all over your boat, it seems like. Lahontan cutthroat trout, which we don't have a ton of here, but every single one that I've caught has bled all over me or all over the ice. And oftentimes that hook is just right in the snout, right where you'd want it. But some are just kind of bleeders. So just like humans, bleeding is not something that's necessarily going to cause mortality. So get that fish back in the water and they should swim off okay. If you have a boat, some of this stuff gets a little bit easier because I've had like some borderline catches where maybe it's a bass or something that I really don't want to harvest, but it got a bad hook job or, hook deep or whatever. You can put that fish in your live well and kind of let it hang out for a couple hours and see what it does.
Right.
This has been educational for me to see fish that I was like, man, he's really probably going to be in rough shape. Seem to be just fine after several hours in there. They're just kicking around and they want no part of being grabbed. And, it's a struggle to get them out of there. And you throw them back in and you take off, like a rocket shot. So, again, we never know 100% what happens after the fact. But I do believe that if you kind of follow some of these tips and just be careful with your handling of the fish, of course, use techniques and be paying attention so that you can avoid having too many fish that do swallow the hook, that, catch and release fishing is very effective and has a very high survival rate for the fish we release.
Great stuff. I have two questions from your topic tonight. First of all, growing up in North Carolina, we did a lot of deep sea fishing or off the shore fishing. And, one of the things we're rarely worried about there, especially sharks, right? Sharks are known to eat everything, right? They pulled license plates out of, dead sharks. And when you come back into the freshwater, I think of fish like catfish, bass as more sturdy fish. Is there, in your opinion, a fish that's stronger or others, that can handle a hook, or does it really make a difference?
I would say, generally speaking, the salmonid species, so your trout and salmon, kokanee, those types of things, those fish tend to be a little more delicate.
Sure.
So, for example, I'm not putting any of those types of fish into my live well in my boat unless I'm already planning to harvest that fish. Because whereas bass, some of these tournaments are 8-10 hours long. You catch a fish at 6 a.m. You leave it in your live well all day long. Of course, it's pumping fresh, oxygen into that live well, but it's still inside a live well in a boat for 8-10 hours, and then does the whole weigh-in process. And those fish, studies have shown, again, because the bass tournaments are a big money deal, and they want to make sure the fish survive. The survival rate is incredibly high, like high 90s%. So that to me is a pretty hardy fish. Panfish as well. Catfish, I think we've talked about on the show before, almost impossible to kill one, even if you're wanting to. So they are a very hardy fish as well. But I would say that the trout and salmon species are the ones where you really need to handle those fish with care if you want to release them, because they don't hold up as well in a live well. They don't hold up as well to, being hooked deep and stuff like that. So that would be my observation on that.
Okay. That's kind of the same thought process I had. I just wanted to hear it from you. All right. Second question. I've had, especially bass, because they're aggressive, right? They're predatory. I've had a lot of bass that have swallowed hooks and gotten damaged, or like you said with the treble hooks, where you're using something that's got 2 or 3 treble hooks on it, and we've damaged fish. They're bleeding, but they're like some places, bass has to be 12 inches. What do you do in that situation as you as an angler? Like, I've got a bass that I know is going to die if I put it back in this water, but I also know it's an inch under the limit. Where do you stand on that? And then again, fishing game comes up. You're going to have this whole conversation.
Yeah, has to be released. 100% has to be released. If it's not a legal keeper, it has to be released. The excuse of, and it's not, there's nothing nefarious about the situation you laid out. And 99% of people would be in the same boat of like, well, I just don't want to waste this fish, right?
Right.
But there's no way for Fish and Game to verify that other than what you're telling them, which of course is the truth in this case, but they don't know that. So it's the 1% of bad actors who would go out and keep illegal fish and just say, well, it was going to die anyway. So the rule is the rule. I have been told by some friends at Fish and Game that short bass is the most common ticket they write in our region.
I can imagine.
Bass under 12 inches. Again, that's in most places. There's some exceptions to that, but 12 is the general rule on that. So, even things like, say you hooked a bull trout, it just has to be released no matter what. No matter what, they have to be released because that's a species you can't keep. So anything that's not a legal catch, or I'm sorry, a legal keeper for any reason, needs to be released so you don't get on the wrong side of things and get in trouble with the Fish and Game. And it is unfortunate when that happens, but the birds and the otters and the minks and the catfish and the crayfish and everything else are going to take care of it. There's a lot of natural mortality that happens in nature, and it's just it's one of the unfortunate things. I've been there. It makes you feel a little bit bad about it. But the right thing to do in terms of the law is to put that fish back in, give it the puncher's chance that it might survive. And if it doesn't, nature will take its course and you won't be in any trouble with the Fish and Game. And
that's why he is our fishing expert, comes on out each and every week and gives us those hot tips of the week. Jordan Rodriguez from Tightlines 208. All right, speaking of Tightlines 208 and classes, what you got coming up, my friend?
Yes, sir. I just have one other thought here. If you.
Oh yeah, no. Yes.
This is a good conversation here. This doesn't come into play super often here, but there are some situations where fish are struggling to be released because they're brought up from a certain depth. So it's like the bends, right? Like if you bring a fish up too quickly from deep water into shallow water, its swim bladder can't adjust fast enough, and that fish struggles to swim back down. I think the most common thing you see this with here locally is crappie, vertical jigging for crappie. And I would say the number is usually like 25 to 30 feet. If you're catching fish from deeper than 25 to 30 feet, especially with a crappie because you reel them in relatively quickly, that's where you'll have fish that aren't able to swim off. And so my thing on that is to just keep them all. And when you have the number that you want to keep, to stop fishing at that point, because to keep catching them and try to release them when they're not swimming off, is kind of wasteful. And there's some other things where it may come into play with like deep jigging for lake trout and things. The big lake trout takes so long to reel in that it doesn't really come into play too much because it's a slow come up from the bottom. But do keep that in mind if you're trying to release fish and they're not swimming off. That may be the reason why is bringing them up. And I'm sure if you've fished in the ocean, you've seen some of this, rockfish and things of that nature. Yep. If they're in too deep a water, they just become almost impossible to safely release. So
my wife
actually throw that out there.
Yeah, my wife and I actually saw that last year. We did a charter out of Depot Bay, and we had some people that had limited out on their rockfish, and they're like, well, I'm going to throw it back. And then the next thing you know, their swim bladder's coming out of their mouth. And the guy's like, well, we're going to have to keep it, but we're going to have to put it with this person's, right? And because but yeah, I did see that last year when we were fishing on our charter for some rockfish.
And every species is different, but generally like 25, 30 feet, once you get into that range, that's when you can start having some issues, and things like the size of the fish and what kind of tackle you're using and how fast it comes up, that all contributes. But it's just good to be mindful of that and not overdo it, over harvest.
Awesome. All right, back to my question. Tightlines 208, what classes do you have coming up here?
Yes, sir. We're very excited. We have a brand new class we've never offered before. It's called Fishing Fun for Kids, and that's coming up on July 18th. It'll be held at the Hilton Garden Inn Boise Spectrum from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And as the name would suggest, this is a class for the young people. Each $50 admission includes a child and a parent or adult chaperone. You can be an aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, whatever. But if an adult wants to attend with the kid, then that's all part of the deal. So we're going to go over a lot of basics, some safety stuff, a lot of fun stuff, educational, a lot of hands-on activities. There'll be take-home tackle for every student who comes. There will be prize giveaways. It's going to be a lot of fun, and really looking forward to it. We're about halfway sold out on that as we sit here today, and we've got another 3 or 4 weeks until the class date on July 18th. So bring out your favorite young anglers and come hang out and learn how to make some great memories in Idaho's great outdoors.
Awesome. I love it. Well, here's one thing I want to do, and I know we've kind of teased it here a little bit the last couple of podcasts. The Idaho Fishing Report is going to go ahead and sign up for one of those seats, and we're going to give away one. So if maybe you can't afford the $50 or whatever, go to our website, gemstatefishing.com. There's a contest page. We'll need the adults' information, please, not the kids on our end. And then we'll get you connected with Jordan. We're going to draw a winner pretty quickly because obviously the class is on the 18th. So we want to make sure we give that away. So Idaho Fishing Report and Tightlines 208, both of us are very strong believers in teaching our youth not only how to fish, but the proper way to fish and the ethics and the morals of it. And so we're going to give away a seat in that. And so we'll get that squared away, get the contest page open this weekend for that. Jordan, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. And tightlines208.com, you're on Instagram, and you come on each and every week, and we appreciate you. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Avoid the wind. It's going to be windy, but stay safe out there, my friend.
Likewise. Thanks, brother.
All right. We'll see you on the water. Do you want to be part of the show? Email us with questions or your fishing report from your last trip. Email general questions to gemstatefishing208@gmail.com. Fish pictures sent to myfish@gemstatefishing.com. And viewer questions to questions@gemstatefishing.com. Please connect. Love to hear from the listeners and viewers, and would love to get your emails, your fish pics, all of that good stuff. All right, let's get into our regional update here, and so that we can find out what's happening with our reservoir level and boat ramp information. All right, first, let's start over in the Magic Valley. Lake Walcott is currently sitting at 95% full, and the elevation there is 4244. The boat ramp is open. Littlewood is sitting at 99% full with an elevation of 5237. The Littlewood boat ramp is open. Milner is sitting at 77% full, and of course, there's no boat ramp information available for that. All right, over in the Treasure Valley, CJ Strike is still at 100%, 54-foot gauge height. Anderson Ranch is sitting at 99% full with an elevation of 4195. All boat ramps are open. Arrow Rock is at 92% full with an elevation of 3209. The high ramp and low ramp are open. Lucky Peak is sitting at 99% full with an elevation of 3054. All ramps are open. Lake Lowell is sitting at 82% full with an elevation of 2528. All ramps are open. Oahe is still at 80% full, no change there, 2658. All ramps are open. Yeah, if you didn't tune in last week and you're tuning in this week for the first time in a while, Oahe, that's on our list now, so you asked for it, you got it. All right, let's look at Cascade. Up that double nickel there. Yeah, I had to get it in one time. All right, Cascade sitting at 97% full with an elevation of 4827. All ramps are open. Deadwood is sitting at 100%. Woohoo! Our first 100% of the year. I love it. Elevation of 5333. The Cozy Cove boat ramp is open. Man Creek sitting at 95% full. An elevation of 2827. Both ramps are open. So knowing the weather, looks like Cascades area to kind of go to this week. So we'll kind of get into that when we get in the grade here in just a little bit. What about the Snake River Reservoir area? All right, so according to Idaho Power, Brownlee is sitting at 2076, and they are almost full. And all the boat ramps are open. And right now, the Steck Park has 23 feet of usable water space or depth at the end, and Woodhead has 52. It's really kind of it's a neat little thing of what they do there with that. And I love, if you hadn't had a chance to see that yet, you should definitely go check that out at the Idaho Power website. And I actually have a link on our gemstatefishing.com, and you can see more about that. So what about that gemstatefishing.com? Make sure you visit us at gemsafefishing.com for all the links to all the information we provide here. You can also contact us through the site. Yeah, so make sure you check that out. We'd love to have you visit our website. If you're not getting your podcast from there, you're getting it from your favorite podcast, or you're watching this on YouTube, that's great. Love to have you there. But also make sure you check us out there. So, all right, let's look at the stocking report. In the Magic Valley, again, speaking of going to that website, you want to go over and go to the Fish and Game website for their stocking. Again, we have a link to it right on our website. But Magic Valley, a lot of small ponds and creeks, a lot like last week. Didn't see a whole lot of change this week. A couple hundred here, a couple hundred there. Really gets too numerous to name them all. So you can go to Fish and Game stocking and see that for yourself. Now, different story over in the southwest area. Granite Lake is getting 4,000 fish stocked. By the time you guys see this, it will have already been stocked. Hazard Lake is getting 2,500, and let's pull that arm for that slot machine. Who's the big winner this week? Well, it's Warm Lake, and the bells are going off for the winner. 12,000 fish going into Warm Lake as of Friday the 23rd. So definitely something that you're gonna want to check out there, as a lot of fish are going to be in there. So, all right. What about those tournaments? Oh, man, look at that. Glassy Lake. Love to be out on that in a tournament, huh? All right. Starting on Saturday, June 24th at Magic Reservoir, it is the McClatchy Memorial Tournament. And so that is happening at the West Magic Dam and then the Fools Clubhouse. And so make sure you check that out. It's over in the Magic Valley. Species are rainbow trout, brown trout, and bass. All right, another tournament to talk about over the weekend on Saturday, June 24th at the Anderson Ranch Reservoir is the Idaho Bassmasters, and they'll be using the Curlow boat ramp there, and 12-inch bass, 5-fish limit, and, of course, they're going after bass there. One more to report, the Idaho Bass Nation will be at Brownlee using the Woodhead boat ramp, the aforementioned boat ramp there. And you can check that out there if you're interested. Or, you can avoid those spots because those are the places where those folks will be fishing at this weekend, and it's going to be pretty busy. Hey, you can find us on every social media platform, from Facebook groups, Twitter, or Instagram. Our handle at Idaho_report. Yeah, I'd love for you to give us a follow there on our social media site. All right, let's talk about the moon phase. The moon's orbit around the Earth is not round, it's elliptical. And so we kind of get these apogees and perigees, apogees when it's furthest away, perigees when it's closest. And I got some bad news for you, my friends. We are going to be smack dab in the apogee this weekend. There's a little picture. You can see that there of kind of how the moon orbits the Earth. And perigee is July 4th. That's a date you're going to want to keep in mind here because we're currently in the first quarter. That's June 26th is when we kind of hit that peak. The full moon is July 3rd. So I'm telling you right now, when do you want to be excited? July 3rd and 4th and 5th. It falls perfectly this year. I know it's going to be packed. The waters are going to be packed, but that's it. So maybe you find your little secret hiding hole that you can go to and go there. But it's going to be that's going to be your next greatest weekend to go fishing. But yeah. So let's talk about those peak fishing times. That's one of the things that I watch this for is what are our good peak fishing times. So on Friday the 23rd, you're going to see a decent peak at 6 a.m. and then a really soft one at 6 p.m. And then we lose that second peak all the way for almost the rest of the week. On Saturday, you'll get a good one at 6:30 a.m. It's getting softer. On Sunday, 7 a.m. and it's just barely good, which is really too bad because that's for a lot of folks, that's the best day to go fishing. But Monday, we're going to see it come back up again. It's going to start making its way back up, 8:30 a.m., Tuesday, 9 a.m., Wednesday, your peak fishing time is going to be around 10 a.m., and then on Thursday, we start to get that second peak, and that first peak gets really stronger. And it's like I said, it's going to be pretty interesting there on that. So you just want to keep an eye on that for the weekend. And like I said, just not going to really be good, but we're gonna roll into it the next week, and so pretty excited about that. All right, let's talk about the grade. Man, guys and gals, I'm afraid it's going to have to be a C this weekend and really most of next week. The moderate winds are going to be getting some raindrops, some thunderstorms up in the Cascade area later in the week. And we're just smack dab in the middle of apogee and the first quarter. So I'm afraid this weekend's a C. If the weather holds out, we've got a strong A coming down the road. And so let's hope that we can get into that maybe a little bit and it'll be good. But for now, it's just not looking that great. So that's my grade. All right. Hey, before we wrap this thing up here, I'm just wondering if you guys ever had a great idea for a podcast, but you just didn't know how to get it started. Well, starting your own podcast is as easy as contacting the Good Boy Studios and letting them help you get your great idea out of your head and into your listener's ear. They can teach you how to write, edit, produce, and publish your own podcast, or they can handle all those tasks and you just show up to record. Contact them today to learn more at goodboystudios.com. That's goodboystudios.com. Good Boy Studios can help you launch your ideas into a reality. All right, well, that's going to put a wrap on our show. Before I do, though, I had hoped to get out fishing on Father's Day. I hope you fathers got to get out, and hope everybody got to get out. It was a great Sunday. Unfortunately for me, I woke up with a really bad infection, and I won't go into a lot of detail on it because that's too much information. But unfortunately for me, the morning was spent in urgent care, and then Sunday afternoon, Monday afternoon, Tuesday, I spent in bed. So I didn't get any fishing done. I hope you guys got some done. I've got that June 3rd and June 4th. I got that circled on my calendar. I'm just telling you right now, and that's it. I think that's going to be our next time to get out and slay some slabs and really get into it this well. So one more just shout out to the Idaho Horsemen. Make sure you check them out, our sponsor for our weather segment. And gohorseman.com. Buy tickets. Go see Idaho's only Arena League football team, Idaho's only professional football team. We have a great college team. I graduated from Boise State, love them, but there's only one professional football team in Idaho, and it's located right here in the Treasure Valley, and you can check it out, gohorseman.com. You can cheer them on for a championship. They won it in 2019, and they'd really love to bring it home again. All you got to do is show up and cheer them on. Please do that and support one of our sponsors. Thank you for coming along. Thanks to everybody that makes this show possible, but you, our listener, you're amazing, and we can't wait to see you again. For the Idaho Fishing Report, I'm Jeff Cullors.
We would like to thank you for listening to the Idaho Fishing Report. You can find us at gemstatefishing.com. Also, connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also find us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and give us a like. Thanks to our sponsors, guests, and experts, but especially you, our listener, for making this show possible. This has been a Good Boy Studios production in association with OMS Multimedia, LLC. Join us next week for another episode of the Idaho Fishing Report. This show is the property of Old Man Studios, LLC, and may not be reproduced, rebroadcast, or retransmitted without the express written consent of Old Man Studios, LLC.